Oh,
Second.
are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, we'll vote aye.
Aye.
Alright,
Opposed, carried. Input on agenda items by public. Do you have to talk now if you wanna go on record?
oh no, I got it
Okay.
all worked out.
Action approve lowering the speed limit on County Trunk I from Waukau Ave to Heartland Road from 45 miles an hour to 40.
So I brought this before you a few months back. So we have that project that's coming up on County Road I down by Basler's. So from West Waukau Ave out to Ripple. And part of when that project was moved forward, that they're gonna diamond grind the existing concrete. And then from, I believe it's 35th out, that'll be reconstructed to a 3-lane. So that road would be 2 lanes with a middle turn lane. And the present speed limit out there right now is 45 miles an hour. And in order to meet design standards for that section out there, the speed limit will have to be reduced to 40 miles an hour. So from the city, it'll go 35 miles an hour. In this section, it'll go to 40. Then once you get past Ripple, then it goes back up to 55 in that section. And what the EXP is the design engineers on that project. And they did a design criteria for that section out there. And right now, we're not gonna be purchasing, and as part of this project, it was agreed upon that you're not gonna purchase any additional right of way. So with this design criteria, basically what the conclusion came down to was that the speed limit would be dropped to 40 miles an hour. And you're gonna have the two driving lanes, middle turn lane, and then you're gonna have bike accommodations on there. And the existing face-to-face in there. So basically it's the face of the curbs is what we're looking at. In order to keep that 45 miles an hour, we'd have to bump those back out and acquire more right away. So in order to keep the existing driving lanes where they are without acquiring right away, we have to drop the speed limit to 40 to meet the design criteria. So that's what I have moving forward. Last time, when we, I didn't have the resolution that we came back with, we needed to tweak a little bit. So there was a 1-word discrepancy that we changed on that. So there is a new resolution, and then that with Highway Committee's approval, then it'll go to County Board for that change.
Supervisor Farley has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several actual 3 points. So if I interpret this correctly, from 35th Avenue to Heartland, I believe it is, we're going to build an urban type road with curb and gutter.
Correct.
You might be aware, I've always been very concerned about that because you're getting rid of your ditches. So now you've got
Okay, start over. You're getting what?
getting rid of the ditches.
Oh, okay.
And the ditches provide the adequate pollution issue specific to the MS4 permit. So now we're gonna be getting rid of those and put in curb and gutter, right? That's a major concern. The other thing is, historically, the county will pay for the project, curb and gutter, and the city of Oshkosh will simply either annex or we'll give them the road. Is that where we're going with this?
I don't have any idea.
We've done that so many
Future.
times.
I think what it comes down to is where the city, I mean, when they have maintenance agreement or boundary agreements, I'm not aware of any boundary agreements in that area. But I did have an MS4 meeting last week. We talked this over with Land and Water. Westwood engineers were there. They're aware of this whole thing. Historically, major flooding in this area. That's one of the biggest drivers with this project was because of the flooding at Basler's. A lot of that water, if you look at, almost all that water comes from Highway 41, comes through the airport.
I'm
and then
aware,
next
yeah.
through this area, and anytime there's rain events, we have flooding in this issues, or in this area. So this project will address that flooding issue. So we won't have we shouldn't have any further flooding issues at Basler because of the upgraded storm sewer that's going in there. And the storm sewer, that's all funded by the city of Oshkosh. So this project is part of theirs, but all the storm sewer in there is city of Oshkosh's.
So they're funding part of it, and they're gonna accept the pollution controls issues through the city.
Well, so that's
You
what
know, we
we're,
pay $500,000 into that program.
yep. So that's one of the when we met the other day,
Yeah.
Westwood is the engineers that have done that study. So all the information was given to them. And they didn't see any issues with this. So the way that it was, which
How
created
about,
any issues.
How about, I forget his name, excuse me, from Land and Water,
Andy Morsini.
Annie, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, that's who we met with. That's who had the quarterly meeting with MS4.
And Andy had no issues that this
No,
would impact.
not at this
their
time.
MS4.
No, I made it clear that this County Road I project and the County Road P project are both. All the information will get to the engineers with that.
Well, I appreciate you going through that,
Yeah.
but I still have an issue with the county funding urban sections of road with curb and gutter. Irregardless of that separate issue. I mean, I don't think we should be doing it unless the city was gonna pay for the curb. and
Yeah,
gutter.
I mean, this project this project was approved before I took over. I'm just
Yeah, I think I had to say.
filling it in.
Issue
So
same.
if we
so
want to pull the plug on it,
Certainly.
I
wanna
think there's
be
a large
consistent.
investment in here we're pretty late in the project to pull. They're looking at 2025 construction.
Yeah, I
So-
understand. No, I assume I'll be in the minority on this, but obviously supporting the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit is part of the criteria to approve the project.
Correct.
So I don't believe I could get rid of the curb and gutter and I'm good to go. That I can't buy.
Okay, what's their wishes? I'll move to bring it forward to send Winnebago County.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Nay,
1 nay. Okay, the next one is,
Can I ask a question? When will this been coming forward to the county board then?
The speed limit,
Right,
I'm hoping to get it on the next agenda as soon as I
end of
can.
the month.
Okay.
It's an ordinance, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's majority voter.
it'll be too late to get on this one, so.
Okay. Yeah,
why would it be too late? Because it's,
Well, unless he gets it in before noon,
yeah, I was.
I had to get full approval from this
right?
committee.
So if he gets it in before noon to Mary Ann, that would be the only.
Yeah, it's already been through. That's all. We're just waiting for this meeting.
Oh, okay, you got it all
So,
ready.
yeah, everything's all
Okay,
just waiting for the approval.
Number 5, discussion, highway department front office renovation project update.
So bids we received back for the front office renovations. I talked to Mike Elder, the funds are short. What was it, put in there? So Mike Elder, had to meet with, or was gonna meet with county executive and go through there's for additional funding for that. So,
You got some numbers?
well, the way it looked, what I had was 225,000 was what was short. So,
what was appropriated and what was bid?
I don't know. I know facilities, that was through facilities. So Mike was gonna put it on the agenda for the next facilities meeting and
We'll let the executive take it out of the emergency funds.
Or maybe he's got extra money in his budget, would you think so, Tom?
Maybe he's planning on applying for ARPA money.
I mean, I
Well,
could,
He can.
I mean, if-
Shut off.
Well, no, but he can apply out of his part of it. He hasn't brought forward all that he's gonna take it out of,
I guess
because he's
that's a
talking about the
reserve
highway.
account, huh?
Don't forget, he's talking about highway. He says he's ready to start with something with highway.
What was it, 225 short, what happened, was it bid more or
but yeah,
way over again?
I mean, they were all over the board.
This is gonna happen all the time, I think.
Well,
Or
it
the
goes
what-
back quite a while.
Huh, is it?
I think it went back for a while, didn't it?
No, well, I think the funding, I guess that, the estimated funds, I don't know how Mike does that, but everything then when context was brought on, they start that process and that's where they come up with the estimates for the project. So,
They always said that when they do the estimates, they always come up with a little percentage more to cover it, whatever, but it doesn't seem like it covers it.
Right.
Cause it comes up all the time, it's more, and more, and more.
yeah, I don't,
So whatever formula is not working,
sure.
right? I mean, that's just crazy. So it's not gonna end now, I'm sure.
This here brings up a good point. Supervisor Bender's right there, and I think he's the one that brought it up. We go ahead and we put it out for bid, but then we don't do anything with it for months and months
Yeah.
and months.
Years.
Or years,
Yeah.
years. So there you sit with it. So now everything has gone up again, so.
And then you got an election coming up, and then you might have other members now, and they don't know anything about what happened before, if anyone comes in new, so you
Oh, yeah.
well, the question and answers, which takes extra time, right? Seems like.
Refresh my memory, what is the time frame on this? We talked about this, what, year ago, more than that?
Oh, more than that, because I think when I first become chairman, this was one of the first places that we went and visited, so it's been almost 2 years ago, it's gonna be now that we
Yeah,
Oh,
went
yeah,
towards
yeah,
this.
you told us.
and when did we actually approve the funding? I don't
I think it
recall
was within
that.
that year almost.
Yeah, it's probably been a year, I mean, over a year or. right
So
around.
when first did the bids here the last couple of months,
So the bids just went out, a few weeks ago, they came back.
yeah, that's to your point, specifically to your point.
And I know this isn't your responsibility, but why did they have to take so long to put out for bids? I know you have nothing to do
I
with
think,
that.
really, I don't think there was a whole lot of delay. At working with context, the minute I got an email, I was firing everything as fast as I could back to them with their information. They came out, surveyed the building, then they come out and start putting, design together. And then the bids go out, I think they diligently, used their time well when they did the project. There wasn't a whole lot of delay. It's just, it takes time for them to put their pieces together and then it's got to go to the electrical and HVAC and all that bid process. So, I didn't see a whole lot of delay through the process. I think it's just a clunky process to begin with, but
I just wonder if it'd move faster if we started getting employees sick in here.
Oh, getting a
Lori
what?
can,
Sick.
Lori can attest. I said
Getting
before, I
sick in
feel
here
sorry for
would
this
move any
girls
faster.
here.
This process now, again, I'm not aware of some of it, but was there one bid? Was there a bunch of bids?
There was, maybe four or five, maybe.
Yeah.
I think.
And then what do we do now? You say you're 225 short, but do we take the short one? Do we take the middle one? How do we decide which one of the four they take or don't take?
Facilities,
Or is it all cheap? It's all.
Well, you gotta take the-
typically, that's
No matter
where,
what, right? I thought they were
typically,
talking about something like that. You could take the next one if the conditions and everything were right.
Yeah, there are,
Get the loans,
there's
right?
exceptions.
Right.
yeah.
Cause you don't wanna.
Yeah, and I don't wanna speak for Mike with that, how the process, but I know, yeah, there's high end and low end, and yeah, I think we've seen when you accept low bids, what you get. So,
And then last thing would be, how are they locked? You got the four bids there now, not gonna happen overnight, so then is it gonna, 3, 4, 5, 6 months now, things change, is it gonna go back up again? Are they anyone locking anymore?
That,
Very
I,
much, don't even know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that,
yeah.
just like curious why, I'm not used to people just.
Yeah, like I said, all that
changing their
bidding,
mind.
that bidding goes through
Never saw this.
facilities. So, I just ask questions, when the bids are due
Okay.
and what the bid tabs came back in. So I know Mike's been working on this process.
It'll be another month before it goes through facilities, it'll be another month before it gets county board and then,
For the cost over.
right?
And then you get maybe different board members that don't know anything about any of this, and
Then they'll
why are we
get
doing that?
They'll get lost on the pile of papers on the exec stuff.
Then,
Yeah, right.
maybe 225 plus.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, just like with the speed limit, it's a chess match. How to get through all the committees and it's a chess match, to try to get through. And if one person takes a little bit longer, yeah, you miss that window and just like that, you're a month out. So yeah, I mean, it's a chess match to try to get everything in and.
The
so-
chess match costs thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, probably when you look at everything we're talking
Yep.
about. So we
You're
can't use that as an excuse, it's government.
Three little houses, a perfect
I
example.
know, I just.
Yeah, I was gonna comment on them, the riddles.
I was thinking the same.
Thought it was a garden shed going on.
So there was four bidders.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right, there's four bidders on that. So, Mike Elder is working on that process, for the additional funding.
Do we know the bidders have? Yeah, I assume it's not the same construction company that originally built this building?
No.
Is this the complete overhaul or just the office overhaul?
Just the
Just
offices,
the office, yeah.
just the office.
You're adding on a room, I believe,
Yeah, I mean.
and remodeling everything else.
We looked
right?
at potentially, like the the additional training facility and conference room. That would have pushed us back 18 months with city permitting and we would have had the ponds and all that. And it's not, we gotta worry about the health of our employees that are in here. So I didn't want to risk 18 months turns into 2 years. Then we're at back 3 years and longer. It wasn't worth it to me. So this is strictly our front offices.
You're just gonna remodel existing. I thought you were gonna add on, probably cut down that pine tree there.
Yeah, well, we were gonna build on a training and
Oh,
conference
that's
room.
what that was.
So we don't have, so right now that
You
conference
dropped
room
that.
upstairs is not ADA accessible.
Mhm.
So this facility would be, and we would be able to have all employee meetings. Like right now, we can't host any public information meetings for any of our projects because we don't have the space. So anytime we go, which I mean, typically, and it worked, and it's not the worst thing. I mean, like our project, we had it at the airport. So it is more convenient for the locals to go closer to their projects.
Sure,
Same thing on P, we did it up in Menasha.
yeah.
And it makes sense, rather than have them travel so far to come to here, but if we would have any projects locally here, we wouldn't be able to house it, we would have to go to a town hall or.
Well, our current room that we have, then we just need to put an elevator in there. Is that what we need to do?
Well, potentially, but the
Yeah.
cost of putting an elevator, I think you guys are
What's
well
wrong
aware of
with
the
using that
elevator.
freight elevator?
You can't use a freight elevator for people. So,
Well, we've been using it for
For
years.
years. That's how I used it.
Legally, you can't though.
right,
So we'll have to look at an elevator cost then down the road, huh?
well, potentially what we'd like to do is that additional facility here
Yeah,
for our conference room, training our employees. That's what we'd like. We thought we could do it with this project, but to push it back, we don't want to risk losing the remodel of this.
what would you do with the room you got there now then? up there?
I mean,
Just
we
that's a
can,
Conference room.
yeah, I mean, we can use it for, functions here. We just can't have it for public meetings.
Yeah.
So,
So when you talk about going out there and have to get permits, if you go up, is it easier to build? Than to go out and then have to do. land and everything,
You wouldn't
you know?
need to permit.
With that,
yeah.
Yeah, you
I'm
wouldn't
not
need any
sure.
of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You want Just an elevator would be more,
Just
but maybe
gotta
all
get an
that,
elevator.
just spending it. It
Right.
seems like you go up and keep going, we got the land, we already got, we're okay here, just add on to it,
right.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
that's all.
For them bids, does that also include like trailers or whatever for the girls to be in?
Yep, that was all included in that, yeah.
Okay, Demo brought that up.
So that's kind of where we're at with that project. So they're short on funds, so Mike Elder will be bringing that, to facilities committee and then moving it forward.
Discussion. Legislative items, upcoming legislative items.
So just a couple things that, legislatively that's coming down the, pipe that we, affects us. There's a Senate Bill 591. And what this would require is a minimum of 30 minutes instructed, for driver's education for work zone safety. So specifically 30 minutes of instruction will be through driver's ed would be, work zone safety.
Good idea.
I think it's a fantastic, it's,
You get the kids to pay attention, you know.
yeah. I think that's a really good thing, moving forward. Hope
Is it
that,
gonna be part of their test?
That I don't
Written
know.
test, I think they do, used to.
yeah, it just said that there'd be a 30 minutes, added to the instruction part of that. The curriculum, so I think that'll be would be a fantastic thing.
When's that coming up?
All that I
When's it
know,
at?
just,
Committee?
this was just, recently from last month.
Yeah,
Or from February, so this came out the first of the month, so this must be in motion now. So,
okay, a little late for a resolution then, huh?
well. I don't know specifically where, they just, basically what, WCHA, they'll just,
Oh, you
Send
got
us updates.
That's pushing it.
yes, yeah, so,
Are you talking about our legislative
Yeah.
committee?
Yeah, but we'd be in the next session, we could get ahead of it, but I guess we're
Yeah.
behind the curve here.
so this one just said there was a public meeting on February 6th. To the Transportation Committee. So it's just fresh here, so,
Okay, it's already going to the committee, then. It's
Yeah.
already gone to committee.
yeah.
But who knows? I mean, it could be a year from now before they vote on it.
Some of the stuff I look in here, I mean, you can tell some of this stuff is fast tracked. Not sure how that works, but
Well,
hopefully it does, it gets fast tracked and can move it through. Obviously, there's certain,
I can't
items
imagine
that-
opposition to it.
And it,
no,
and it could be, you know, it's gotta go to the assembly too, correct?
that I don't know specifically where this is all. It just was a quick update that just came, that's
It could have come from the assembly to the senate, we don't know, yeah,
Right.
we probably need a little more information, but given that issue, if we need to, we'll put it on, right?
sure. Yeah, but I'll keep
I
you,
don't see how it would hurt. I don't,
Yeah,
At least discussion on it,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
nothing else.
if it passes, while it's still in.
and we can discuss that later. Sure, with that, so. And then there was a Senate Bill 614. And then this one was, proposal would allow local governments to install and maintain cameras in highway work zones to capture video. Or photographic evidence during traffic accidents. I think this is, I think this, you're gonna see more and more of this. I think this, we'll see this, passed. So potentially, that's what you're gonna see in our work zones. We're gonna be able to have, videos in there if anything happens, for that purpose.
well, based on the incident that happened on Highway 45, I believe,
Yep.
that probably would have been quite beneficial.
Right, and I think, I mean, no matter who you talk to, in the state, the counties, I think Milwaukee County last month or the month before had a bad, somebody hit a bunch of their workers down there, at night. So I think this is another thing that it's just gonna be another tool, for us to use in those situations. Hopefully, you never have to use it. But if something happens, it's there to kind of.
If they know they're being recorded, they might.
Yeah,
Yeah, yep,
So in other words, this has to go through in order to use, like you couldn't use it, say if you have it up, you have a camera up and you see the accident happen, you couldn't use it unless this gets back.
well, I kind of think that's what, whether they could use it in the court of law, I guess that's what it comes down to it, but I think with this bill, that will allow that. So,
Yeah, they're put all their legalese there.
I mean, more and more now, like any of the truck drivers have the videos in their like cab of their trucks. We hear that more and more, all that video is coming, from there, you know, there was an accident out on 21, a storage unit just happened to have cameras, and they videoed the whole scene. So these CC cameras that are out there, and there's definitely, it's well worth the time and money to put them in there. So I think this is another tool that would be good in our work zones. There's another one that, this Assembly Bill 1039. So this bill was introduced January 26th of this year. And it revolves around the ATV UTV legislation. This bill would eliminate the requirements that a highway have a speed limit of 35 miles an hour or less. Which from just my personal, what I've seen, the 35 mile an hour, there's people that are obeying that, then there's people that are absolutely exceeding that. I have concerns with that when you see that, to take that, I mean, to have a 16-year-old driver driving those vehicles on a road with no
55
experience
miles an hour. Yeah.
and going that fast.
I'd have the
So-
same concern, right?
So yeah, so those are just a few things that were, and then this one too, it said, this was being introduced and very broad. It doesn't appear to be on a fast track. So hopefully that's, it falls apart at that point. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna find some, opposition with that, so. So those are just the kind of, a few updates that were coming out there, so just thought I'd let you guys know what that.
So you get that information from your organization, and send that to you then, as an awareness.
Yeah, so our, the WCHA, the County, Wisconsin County Highway Association, yeah, they send out anything, we do. Rick Oleg, he is a consultant that, at the traffic safety, and we review that at traffic safety too. He'll bring those up and that anything that's coming through legislature, so.
It's kind of an interesting thing for our group, right? To be notified about that legislation stuff, right? I mean, you don't get it right now, you don't get the stuff from him, like, yeah,
No, I do not know.
but that wouldn't be bad to send to our group, just to be aware of
Yeah.
that stuff and support it better, be on top of it.
Yeah. They send this out, weekly, they send out a little newsletter to us,
Oh, yeah.
and then it's anything in there and, which, yeah, I mean, if I get it, I could forward that to you. Just, I mean, some stuff,
Dave, yeah.
yeah, I mean, some stuff through there. There's not a whole lot, I mean. Kind of, you can pick and choose through there. So,
My wife's grandpa was an old German. He passed away that years now. He lived to be 94, I think. But anyways, he would always say, we're only in trouble when them damn people down there in the legislature get together.
I had a neighbor that used to tell me, even on the county board, don't do us any favors.
Yeah.
all right, then,
Okay, we'll go to. I don't understand the discussion, 6-20 foot.
60-20.
Oh, I know what that is, yeah.
so.
There's big money out there for the.
So what's going on is there's potentially, right now, there's about $12.5 million to inventory. Structures that are greater than six feet, but less than 20. So anything that's wider than 20 feet would be like looking through the pipe. Anything that's 20 feet and greater is considered a structure, a bridge. So then that would have to have annual bridge inspection. But these structures that 6 to 20, there's no inspection on those. There's a great need through the towns and the counties that, to inventory these. The highway department has inventoried theirs for years.
You guys
So-
do the inspection, correct?
Correct, so we have, so I'm one of them, and we have two bridge inspectors here. We have one more that will be attending this March to get his certification, so we would have three inspectors here. So this program, so there's $12.5 million that was set aside to identify, to do first do an inventory. So right now, Winnebago County potentially has 1,416 potential structures, okay? So what they did is they went through an aerial map and just pinpointed these areas that would either have been near a stream or a large ditch. And then they tagged that, and then they put a temporary ID number on these. So right now, that 1,416, we know it's gonna be way over. But somebody still has to go out and look at these to inventory. So right now, the townships, the cities, they could either go out and do an inventory on their own. And the DOT is gonna pay $100 per structure that qualifies. So if they go out there and they find a structure that's an 18-inch culvert or a 24-inch, obviously doesn't qualify. You just check it off the list that doesn't qualify. If you find that one is a 7 to 8 foot that fits within that criteria, then yep, we check off. And then once that inventory, I think there's about eight or 10 questions for that. You have to answer locations, GPS units or GPS coordinates. Then an inspection would have to be done on that structure. So then at that point, $350 would be allotted to do that bridge, that inspection for that culvert. I don't want to say bridge, because the bridge has to be over 20 foot, the 20 foot. So right now, out of that 1,416 structures, I mean, we know it's gonna be over, but the fact of the matter is regardless, we have to look at every single structure in order to see if it qualifies. So townships can do it on their own, or they can opt to have the highway department do it, or it's gonna go out to a consultant. So, some townships, a couple are gonna do them themselves. And then the majority, obviously either have the highway department do it. So what it comes down to is to do the inventory, you do not have to be a licensed bridge inspector. Anybody could do that, go out there and get those. If we choose to do that, we would receive $100 per structure. Once that's done, then the next step would be doing the inspections. The inspection has to be done by a licensed bridge inspector. At that point, once the inventory is done, we're gonna have a good idea. We'll know exactly how many structures. When we look at that, depending on how many there are, obviously with only 2 inspectors right here, myself being one, it's good. It'd be a lot to do. But what it's gonna come down to is this first round to actually quantify how many structures there's gonna be.
Yeah.
So potentially, we're either gonna look at, we're gonna do the inspections, or we're just gonna have a consultant do it. And it sounds like, WCA and the town association kind of have all this kind of details worked out, but the Wisconsin County Association would be the one that are gonna administrate all the inspectors or the inspectors to do that, any of the contracts. So what it comes down to is we just gotta figure out of that 1,400 plus structures, how many there's gonna be. So we're gonna try to get through as many of the inventory as we can to identify that, and then we're gonna have to make a decision whether we have the manpower to do it or not. So just kind of wanted to let you know with that.
What's the 2 towns are gonna do their own?
Well, there was one for sure that we just heard from.
Finland?
No, Oshkosh.
Oh. Jim heard what's
So-
crawl around in them culverts. This is not an easy job, guys. I used to go inspect the bridge on Maxwell Road, just down from Wildy Farms. You crawl under that sucker, first it's all steep and bank, so you gotta be a young guy, stronger than hell, right? And you wouldn't believe what's living under there, including the hornet's nest. I don't.
The
and
protected,
you-
the protected barn swallow.
Hmm.
Kenny
Well, you
Road-
could have all
that
kinds of
part, Kenny
critters
Road
living
is-
under there.
There's a bridge on Pleasant Road or one of them roads that are parallel to it. When I was doing the breeding bird atlas, some rough-winged swallows were going under there, so I went down there to under there to see where the nest was. And this had like a wooden ceiling. I mean, how old is that? And it had a wooden ceiling and in the cracks, these birds would climb up in them cracks and that's where they had their nest. They burrow all the dirt and.
I
It's just
ran into a
incredible.
hornet's nest and all kinds of stuff.
So on them inspections, like say if a town, our
Yep.
town, if we get the county, are we responsible for paying you or who's going to be paying you outright?
So, okay, so that's another catch of this whole thing. So basically, the highway department, the DOT is gonna set up an account, a charge account. And the towns, if they choose to do it on their own, they would contact me and then the county will pay that $100. So that first round. So basically, we would just have a charge account to the DOT for that.
Pass through most, yeah.
Yes, correct. And then, like I said, then once it gets to the inspection part, WCA will do all the contracts with whatever consultant they choose to. So a lot of the counties were like, don't, if they didn't have an inspector to do their, so they had a private consultant doing theirs. A lot of them were concerned is like, hey, we already have a consultant that's doing them. Why can't we just have them do it? So they are working some flexibility with some of those counties that already have a consultant that knows their structures. Instead of having somebody, potentially you could get somebody from out of state. So they are working with that. And once they get all this information of how many structures they're gonna be, then those contracts will be negotiated and that.
That brings another question to mind. We've done the identification, now we know what needs to be fixed. Who's gonna pay for that?
So, okay, so that, yep.
You could be talking some serious money.
Yep, great question. So that's where this is all gonna go. So right now, the DOT has put $12.5 million to
Find out where
do
they
the
are.
inventory and the inspections. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the HSI rating system for that. Future, yeah, they're gonna look at whether it's gonna be federal or state funding that goes into this. So it's kind of like the bridge program.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 80-20 split for these, who knows, it might be 50-50, it might be 90-10, however they choose to do it, but they're looking at funding, because there is a great need for these structures that are out there, they're expensive. It's not like putting an 18-inch pipe in, when you talk about an 8-foot structure, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars just for the structure.
And we're in this county,
Like floor one.
the towns within this county, we're gonna be probably doing all that work.
I
So
guess
it's gonna
that-
Impact our workload in the future.
I guess that's all to be determined how they're gonna do it. They might come in there and like the bridge program, that goes all out on state bidding with that. Maybe they come by and obviously it's gonna go by the condition rating. So if you have a bad structure, you can apply for funding. And if you get, chosen for that, I guess that's how all to be determined, how they're gonna do that. If it's gonna be a state bid or if you can use your own forces or however, I guess that'll be all determined once but it's a good thing. At least they're moving forward. I think with the $12.5 million investment right now, I think that's a good thing is that, the state sees that there's an issue with them and I think they're moving in the right direction. So.
History, just thinking about the history now. You said you were keeping track of, you had 14,000 or 1,400 there
Yep.
already. What happened in the future? This all of a sudden now there's a concern. Do they have like every 10 years they do this or what's?
Well,
what
this
do they
is
do?
brand new. So this
They
is.
never checked it before. They just.
Well, we have
okay.
inventoried ours and, and we've did the inspections. It's the townships didn't have the forces to do it. Whether you know, at a road check or whatever, you know, to go out and look at them.
Yeah,
there was really
culvert's
nothing
bad, you
set
got
up.
Issues, you replace it. but
Yep.
Right.
So at least now there's gonna be an inventory, it's gonna be all listed on the HSI system. Anybody can go in, log in, and it's gonna be a map. You can go in there and hit that, and it's gonna tell you everything about the size of the structure, the material, location, the condition of it. Everything's gonna be right there. So then, you know, like I said, then at that point, hey, obviously the worst condition structures are gonna be eligible for funding with that.
So there just wasn't anything in the past that no one really
Nope.
did anything, okay.
No.
And now I'm sure it gets worse because they hadn't done anything all this time, so.
And I think a lot of it came up was like with the COVID money. That'd have been a great place to,
that
and I
money
think
tree
that's what
didn't come.
sparked this.
That money tree didn't come and all this money flying around, right?
Yeah.
They got one. I mean, there's a
Well,
picture.
I think in addition to that, normally the culverts of this size, irregardless of putting the word bridge in front of it. The towns would bear the cost of that if it was under 3 feet, right? So.
Right, so we have a county, we do a county program right now.
Okay.
So, you know.
Now
with
we won't have to, this will be covered hopefully by somebody else, so.
Right, so when you start looking at these, yeah, I mean,
Should help road budgets a little bit.
yep, I think right now we have one with, was it Nakai, my Lori? Do you remember how much that aluminum? It's like 40 some, almost 50,000, I think, just for the structure. So
Oh,
this
yeah.
would fit in that. You know, but that's the kind of cost you're looking at is
Yeah.
just for that, you know, and that doesn't include removing the old concrete structure and putting this in and. So,
Back on this price again, so you guys will go out and do it for $100. You're not gonna ask, for somebody to do the paperwork, then we're not gonna get charged so much. and
so
all
that
this
was
and that.
right, so administrative, so that's been a big topic. Who we have to administer this, but who pays for that?
Right,
Yeah, so that's something that they said that was negotiated and. Yeah, that the counties are gonna have to, but $100, $100, $350 is $350. If, I think there was some private consultants knocking on doors. That
Sure.
were pushing, hey, you need to sign this paperwork.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is. You didn't know what you were entering, you were just signing a piece of paper saying, hey, they're gonna do it. Where they maybe came in and said. We're gonna charge you $150 or $200. We're only getting reimbursed $100 for the inventory and $350 for the inspection. So there's no extra, that's why like when you look at that with the 1,416. You know, we being here 30 years and our staff's been here. We can just look at the map and we know there's nothing there. But you still really have to go out there and make sure to verify. You know, but when you have a consultant comes in and if they're not from the state or they're not local. They're probably gonna spend a little more time because they don't know that, they don't have that knowledge where. I mean, I'm sure any of you, you know, in the township, you know what culverts and what sizes and you have a pretty good idea. So,
Or they do a drive-by and just say, okay, we identified it. We need the 350. If you actually want us to get out of the car and look at it.
well, right, I mean, the only thing is that. It's gonna pay off to get actual information, cause
Yeah.
it's just, if you don't. You know, you're gonna lose out on that other end, so you're gonna want accurate information with this, so we don't wanna go in there and just. Guess, and that looks like 2 foot and it's a 4 foot culvert or something like that, cause I mean, that's where it's gonna depend on that funding is what the inspection says, so.
I can definitely see that, but. You know, not blaming anybody, but I know like when you get a bill, you get all these extras on top of it,
Yep.
tools and all this, and that's what I just.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, for $450 to get this all done, if that's all it's gonna be, it's.
Yep.
Great for any township or.
Yeah, yep, and I think, like I said, for future, all this is gonna do is now they can see the need. And they know now, hey, this is how many structures, this is how much we're gonna need to fund this. So I think it's a great thing moving forward for
We do too,
for
yeah.
everybody. So,
Might address some of the flooding issues too in some communities.
I mean, a lot of those structures that we have, like on our county
undersized.
system. Are all from that depression area, those 20s and 30s. There's a lot of depression money that was out there, they're all concrete. And they used concrete back then, some of those structures are, you know, 120 years old,
Still
they're
working.
still. really good shape.
Yeah,
But then there's some of them that are starting to see their life expectancy and that we need, a lot of, the only thing is, a lot of those structures are narrow. And that's what the biggest thing, might be good shape, but they're narrow.
yeah.
So I think, moving forward, this, I think it's gonna be a great, great program moving forward. So we'll kind of play it by ear. I said the big thing's gonna be is, to go out there to do the inspections. I can't devote 8, 10 hours a day to this. And I don't think, the other inspector is gonna be able to do it on his own. So it'll be a timeline. So I mean, what's gonna come down to is actually, once we identify how many structures, then we'll have a good idea. I mean, if there's too many, we'll just let a consultant do it and, so.
Hire me and, save money.
go.
There you go.
I got free time.
Yeah, he's currently unemployed.
Yeah, so it's kind of the word is, I'll keep you informed moving forward. It's moving fast and there's deadlines they wanna
Yeah.
target dates we got all have in, so I'll keep you posted with this moving forward, but, we'd like to do as much as we can with it. All it comes down to it is the time restraints that they have, the inventory this year, and then, next year would be the inspections. So we got time with this, but, it's like anything, I mean, we have our own inspections to do in the towns and the locals, too, so it's gonna be a little.
They never gave us a deadline.
Well, they have some deadlines out there, but these early ones kind of got pushed back a little bit. But they're all coming up, real quick here in the next month. We gotta the towns have to let us know and which direction. So a lot of them already have.
This is just county and town roads.
City too, also cities. So city of Oshkosh, city of Neenah, city
They're
of
gonna do
Nashua.
their own.
Well, we've had conversations, just looking at the maps in the cities. We would probably have to rely on the cities to kind of point us in, because if it's a storm sewer, that wouldn't qualify for this.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be criteria, you really gotta take a look at what's with these. So that might be something on that end that might take a little bit longer with the cities. So we'll keep, as we get into this, I mean, basically what comes down to is how many structures there's gonna be, so.
General operations,
So, I don't know if any of you are aware that our traffic operations supervisor Chuck Riedel retired. So Chuck, his last day was the 12th of February. We did hire a candidate from within. We offered him the position, and he'll be starting March 4th. So, I was glad to see we had, all our candidates that that interviewed, did a nice job. One thing, this goes to show that, the guys that we have here, know a lot about what they're doing. So it was good to see. It was good to see that people are interested in moving up.
Yeah.
So it was good. The interviews were really good and, we learned a lot through that, but so the offer was made. So he'll be starting soon.
Can you tell us who it was?
Ross Tie River. So he was a foreman, our concrete foreman. And, so yeah, so he'll be moving up and then we will be interviewing shortly to fill the foreman position. We've hired, 3 new mechanics. And we just made an offer to another EO operator, so we should be full on positions, which is huge. I hate to jinx us by that, but knock on wood. Yeah, so, we've been operating short staff for a long time.
Yeah,
So this is huge for us to actually say, hey, we're full. I think, looking back when I started here, I mean, somebody retired every 5, 6, 7 years, maybe. That's what it was. You didn't see a turnover like we had. Right now, 50% of our employees here have 5 years of experience or less. So when you look at that, I mean, we were always heavy on that, lot of experience.
So how much credit do you give the pay increases for that?
I mean, it definitely is showing that, we hired a person, somebody from Marathon County is moving here, relocating. I worked at Marathon Highway Department, and he's relocating here and, so I think it is, I think we're definitely seeing the payoff.
The question was in the training, I was just thinking, when someone retires, they usually give you 2 weeks notice. I don't know what they do anymore. But then a new guy comes in. In that time period, does that person that was in the job kind of work with that person, or do we do anything, or
So
he's
the,
gonna learn it on his own, do his own thing?
no, so the onboarding, obviously for our operators is different than like for our management. The management side of it, the way that the sign shop was operated before is gonna be a little different than, we want them to be more involved with our day-to-day operations than that has been in the past. So, so the overlap, I mean, they did work with a few different individuals that were interested in it. But for the most part, we want to train that person specifically to fit our operations. We want him to fit in. That's one of the biggest things was for like this, the office renovation, is to get those guys up here. The rest of our management staff's been out back. We want them up here to be part of the team. So that's one big thing with this, this office renovation, to get everybody up here. But a lot of training. I mean, we train the onboarding process. I mean, this year with the little bit of snow we had, typically operators will ride with the operators that are out there. This year we had very limited time to put that person out there and ride. So the time that we did get early, these guys did a fantastic job with the little limited time they had available. It says a lot about these guys that are here. So they worked with these new guys and asking the questions and answering them, and so. But onboarding part is we've been meeting with, after the employee starts, we meet with the employees to ask them, how was the onboarding part? Did anything you'd like to see extra, anything we missed on this? And I think that's helped us with that process.
Yeah, because that time period is important, because it's a new job or a different job than they had before, and sometimes people I know from where in business I was, is that if you didn't spend any time, it's, well, I'm learning on my own, they didn't help me at all. And now I'm not that interested as I was before, and then, then they kind of wander away.
Yep.
You want to keep that excitement throughout the period. It's new, we're excited, you're doing your thing, but here's what we like you to do. So I always worry about that 2 or 3 weeks when they first take over, they can decide this, oh, that's not what I thought about, whatever it is, that kind of stuff. So that's important, like you said, it's good to do that.
Yeah.
And it's paid within too.
Right.
Paid within, then you're getting people that are really interested in the job, and that's what we need to do a lot more.
Yep. Yeah, so like I said, knock on wood, we're getting to that point, so. Back to with the pay increases, the individual that we did, he applied at Outagamie County and Winnebago at the same time. And he chose to come to us, so. So I think it's been paying off that. So before, we were always on the bottom end and we were losing out on that before. They were choosing the other counties. Now we're on the opposite end, so we are reaping that, so. Which is good. I mean, and it's always gonna be a cycle. Somebody else, it's just
Right.
who's gonna be on top and when it's done, so. But it definitely, I think it's paid off, so.
But you don't have the people leaving neither, they're taking.
No, I mean, we get a few here and there that are, but otherwise, I mean, no, we haven't been seeing that, hey, I'm going here for more money here. We haven't been seeing that. That was before. We're not hearing that anymore. So yeah, and then equipment. So we did, if you remember back, we had a 55-ton heavy haul trailer. We did receive that. Trailer was delivered. We also had a 25-ton trailer we ordered that 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, well over 2 years ago, we just got that. So yeah, so after 2 years, and we didn't get any price increases on that. I thought for sure we were gonna, but they held that price at that, so. And then we did receive one 1-ton dump. So that was part of Ford. They gave us quotas. We were allowed one truck, and that was our truck that we got. So we do have that. So yeah, and the guy that's running it is just ecstatic. It's the greatest piece of equipment he's ever had since he's been here. He's very happy with it, and he tells us weekly how happy he is to have that.
So he's not quitting anytime soon.
No, he,
Got a good truck in there.
his truck had well over 300,000 miles on
Oh,
it.
that's the one we looked at, I think.
Yeah, it was in bad shape.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's been limping it along for a long time. So yeah, his smile is year to year with that, so. So yeah, so equipment's starting to get in. This year we have a new hot box that we're gonna be purchasing. We have a skid steer. We have a couple foreman's truck that we're trying to get and another 1-ton. And then our winter equipment for trucks that we've purchased the last year or two. We had 5 trucks on order, so now that winter equipment, we'll be putting that on there, so. So yeah, it sounds like, maybe we can start getting some equipment in here. It's been, slow but sure been coming in, and, so it's exciting, so. Long, hard, battle for that, so.
Set next meeting date.
I have something to say, because I gave them so much static all the time. On Witzel, they did go out and clean out that one side on that ditch. They did this super job, and the people really appreciate it. Of course, you got Sid, which still wants his side cleaned out,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
that there, they did a really good job, and I just think that,
I was gonna ask
You
that
should-
question, how we've been keeping him happy, must be, huh?
so.
Yeah, they haven't shown up, so.
Well, he called, you guys were
Yeah.
at some convention or
Yeah.
whatever, but he thought the ice was gonna go up and over his driveway and everything, but other than that,
Pictures up there.
right, yeah, so, but otherwise, that was the other, but that side there, they did an awful good job, and kudos to you, and thank you for getting.
Appreciate it, I'll
done.
pass that on. Yeah, I mean, we don't, it's not like we, just ignore, we try to do, what we can out there, and, we have other areas too that people are experiencing flooding issues too, so we try to, do as much as we can with those areas. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we can, look forward. I know, the town of Algoma, we talked about doing a project in that area. So, now, that might change here a little bit with the future, but that's something that we can look at, in the future in there, obviously. And that's the unfortunate thing is that when you have that flooding issues like that, storm sewer, curb and gutter, what is the major way to fix a lot of that? The unfortunate thing, it costs money to with that.
Maybe we
project.
could let him take some of that excess water to his washing machine.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
next date of
Next date.
meeting.
March 18th work for everybody?
I got a conflict, but I don't think I'll go to it, so, yeah. I'll decide which one. I got a WCA meeting, they pulled a Monday meeting on us. So. Put it down the 18th, that's fine.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Then moving second to adjourn, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Well, it'll probably be beneficial to, look at your